It's Nick Shell, the internet receding hairline guy here, and I've got a question for you today, and that question is, what would you say the female equivalent of a man losing his hairline is? I was trying to think about that today, and I couldn't quite figure it out. I mean, we could say that maybe it's, and before I even get started in explaining here, here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how on TV, like, if they want to have a guy who seems to be kind of a loser and he's not cool and he's not hip and he's not attractive, they'll put an obviously bald man in that character. And when I say obviously bald, I mean a guy who hasn't come to terms with his baldness yet. So we're not talking about a guy who's cool with a shaved head. We're talking about the guy who has that bozo haircut, or whatever you want to call it, where it's just thick hair growing out and bald on top, and he's kind of the goofy bald guy, and they're trying to prove a point that he's not good looking in that case. Okay, so if that's kind of the natural things that happens to men, that they lose their hair and they're not attractive for that reason, and that's something that we can identify with. So much dirt in here. Then what would we say the female version of that is? I mean, here's the thing. It's easy to say, well, okay, well, if society views balding as this unworthy of Hollywood thing, then maybe it would be a woman being overweight. That would be the natural place my mind goes to. When you think about all the double standards in women's magazines, where it has this attractive, thin little woman on the cover, and then it also says ways to lose 10 pounds quick. So they're telling these women, you got to lose the weight. At the same time, they're like accepting yourself as who you are. All these mixed messages they send in women's magazines on the covers. But it's all about the woman being thin, and then therefore, then she becomes the standard of what she should look like. But the thing about that is, a woman who is overweight has control over it. Through proper diet and exercise, we'd have to agree that that could be changed if that became the top priority. And we know this because of those who have overcome it. We've all seen The Biggest Loser. We know how this works. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it's easy at all. I mean, I myself have lost 25 pounds throughout my life in a year's time. So I know what that's like. But at the same time, with a guy losing his hair, unless he goes through some kind of what I would consider extreme process, like transplant or some kind of Rogaine or Propecia, whatever it is, by default, he can't change his eating and exercise more and his hair starts growing in. It doesn't work that way. But what a woman can. So it seems kind of unfair to say, well, the equivalent of a man going bald is a woman gaining weight. Another reason it's an unfair comparison is because men gain weight too, as I just mentioned. I mean, by the time I was my heaviest, when I got married and right after, like the year following, I was the heaviest I ever was during that time. So men gain weight just as women do. But as far as the way society looks at it, I think and even females themselves place this standard upon themselves that you have to be thin to be attractive, to be worthy, to be of value. And again, just look at the women's magazines. It's saying, here's the skinny lady, here's how you can lose 10 pounds, and by the way, you should accept yourself as you are and find the beauty within. It's all of these mixed messages. But what do you think about that? I can't figure it out, because we can't just exercise and diet and our hair goes back if we want to keep our hair if it's falling out. You know, I'm thinking right now of the movie Just Friends with, what's his name, Ryan Reynolds, is that his name? We've all seen that movie. In that movie, he goes to his 10-year reunion, and the high school jock is now a loser. Why is he a loser? Well, he doesn't have like a real job, I think. And then another reason he's a loser is because he went bald. So by 28, he's got the horseshoe thing, and he's not shaving it. Of course, he's doing the obviously bald, therefore unattractive character. That's the way they've got him up there. But and it's the same thing with 10-year reunions. When on sitcoms and that sort of thing, it's like, oh, I wonder who got fat. Talking about skinny girls from high school. So I need your help in figuring this out. It's kind of a mess to me. Is there a true equivalent of a man going bald as far as a feminine version for that? Is it simply gaining weight? But it just, again, the problem with that is that guys gain weight too. So what do you think? I need to know. I don't know where to go with this one. I want to find closure with this. I'm Nick Shell, the internet receding hairline guy.